The F-22 Raptor was never supposed to be a mystery. It was designed to win wars in plain sight, to dominate the sky so completely that no one would dare challenge it. And yet, decades after its first flight, the most powerful air force in human history still refuses to let it go. Not because there is nothing better, but because there is nothing that truly replaces what the F-22 does when the stakes are absolute. In an era obsessed with newer, cheaper, and more networked solutions, the continued dependence on this aircraft reveals something uncomfortable about modern air combat. Air dominance is still brutally simple, and once you have it, you cannot afford to lose it. The F-22 was born out of fear. Not fear of today's threats, but fear of what the future could become if the United States ever lost control of the air. During the final years of the Cold War, American planners looked across the ocean at a Soviet Union investing heavily in advanced fighters, surface-to-air missiles, and integrated air defense systems. The lesson of previous wars was clear. Whoever controlled the sky controlled everything beneath it, so the requirement was uncompromising. The new fighter had to see first, strike first, and kill first. It had to be faster, stealthier, and more lethal than anything flying, or even planned anywhere in the world. What emerged was not just another fighter jet, but a philosophy turned into metal. The F-22 was built around the idea that stealth was not a trick, but a baseline. Speed was not about chase, but about positioning. Maneuverability was not for dogfights alone, but for surviving when everything went wrong. Even its sensors were designed to fuse information automatically, reducing pilot workload and compressing decision time. The pilot was no longer just flying a jet. He was managing a piece of airspace. And then, history shifted. The Cold War ended. The enemy the F-22 was designed to fight collapsed. The world moved on to counterinsurgency, low-intensity conflicts, and wars where air superiority was assumed, not contested. To many observers, the F-22 looked like a relic of a threat that never fully materialized. It was expensive, it was complex, it was produced in limited numbers, and eventually production was shut down long before the original requirement was met. Yet, here is the paradox. Despite all of that, the United States Air Force has never seriously considered retiring the F-22 early. In fact, it continues to invest heavily in keeping it operational, upgrading its sensors, avionics, and weapons. For an aircraft no longer in production, that decision speaks louder than any official statement. Because deep down, the Air Force understands something that is rarely said openly. No other aircraft guarantees air dominance the way the F-22 does. On paper, newer fighters look more flexible. They promise multi-role capability, global partnerships, and seamless data sharing. They are designed to operate as part of a network, rather than as a single decisive weapon. But air combat is not fought on paper. It is fought in seconds, under extreme uncertainty, where the first mistake is often the last. In that environment, the F-22 excels in a way that is difficult to quantify but impossible to ignore. Its stealth is not just about avoiding detection. It is about controlling when and how it is seen. Combined with its supercruise capability, the ability to fly at supersonic speeds without afterburners, the F-22 can enter contested airspace faster, stay longer, and leave on its own terms. That means it dictates the fight. Enemy aircraft may never know it is there until it is already too late. Equally important is what the F-22 does to enemy planning. Its mere presence forces adversaries to assume that their aircraft are being watched, tracked, and targeted even when nothing appears on radar. This psychological pressure reshapes entire air defense strategies. It slows decision-making. It complicates command and control. It creates hesitation. And hesitation is fatal in air combat. Critics often point to the F-22's limited ground attack role as a weakness. But this misses the point. The aircraft was never meant to be everything. It was meant to be the first thing, the aircraft that clears the sky so that everything else can operate safely. Bombers, tankers, surveillance aircraft, and even other fighters all depend on the airspace being permissive. The F-22 exists to make that happen when no one else can. This is why the Air Force refuses to replace it prematurely, because replacement implies equivalence. And despite years of development, no operational aircraft matches the F-22 in the specific mission of air dominance under the most demanding conditions. Newer platforms are impressive, but they are optimized for different trade-offs. Cost, exportability, maintenance, and interoperability all shape their design. The F-22 was shaped by a single ruthless requirement: win the air war against the best possible opponent. Another reason the F-22 endures is its adaptability. While its airframe remains the same, its internal systems have evolved significantly. Software updates improve sensor fusion. New weapons expand its engagement envelope. Data links allow it to share information with other platforms without compromising its stealth. Over time, the aircraft has become less isolated and more integrated, without losing its core advantage. There is also a strategic reality that cannot be ignored. The United States cannot assume permanent air superiority. Potential adversaries have studied American air power for decades. They have invested in long-range missiles, advanced radars, electronic warfare, and their own stealth aircraft. In any future high-end conflict, the opening hours would be decisive. That is precisely the scenario the F-22 was built for, and precisely why it remains indispensable. The limited number of F-22s often raises concerns. With fewer airframes, every aircraft matters. But this scarcity also reinforces their value. The F-22 is not meant to be everywhere. It is meant to be where it matters most. Deployed carefully, it serves as a force multiplier, enabling the rest of the air campaign to unfold with far less risk. There is also a cultural element within the Air Force. Pilots who fly the F-22 consistently describe it not just as superior, but as unforgiving in the best possible way. It rewards discipline, situational awareness, and precision. In doing so, it sets a standard for what air dominance should feel like. That mindset influences training, doctrine, and expectations across the entire force. As discussions continue about next-generation fighters and future air combat concepts, the shadow of the F-22 looms large. Any successor is not just expected to be better in theory, but to deliver the same level of confidence in practice. That is a high bar, and until something clears it decisively, the Air Force will continue to rely on what it knows works. The F-22 Raptor is not perfect. It is expensive to maintain. It requires specialized infrastructure. It cannot be easily replaced if lost. But these are the costs of absolute capability. The Air Force understands that when air superiority is contested, there are no cheap solutions. There are only effective ones. In the end, the reason the F-22 refuses to be replaced is simple. It does exactly what it was designed to do, better than anything else. It dominates the sky not through numbers, but through inevitability. When it flies, it changes the equation. And in modern warfare, changing the equation is often the difference between victory and catastrophe. As long as control of the air remains the foundation of military power, the F-22 will remain relevant. Not as a symbol of the past, but as a reminder that some advantages are too important to surrender. The United States Air Force does not keep the F-22 because it is old. It keeps it because when the moment comes that air dominance is truly tested, there is no substitute for certainty.